A couple of weeks ago, I listened to the latest David Bowie box set, A New Career in a New Town. It spans what's known as his Berlin period, which features the albums Low, Heroes, and Lodger. It also includes Bowie's first release after his time in Berlin, 1980's Scary Monsters. Scary Monsters was the album that got me into David Bowie. It's my favorite album of all time, not only because of how masterfully assembled it is, but because of how aptly it summarizes Bowie's prime. He made a clear effort to fire on all cylinders for that album, re-examining and refreshing his catalog in order to create fantastic and challenging music in the process. In many ways, Scary Monsters is the most Bowie that Bowie has ever gotten. It combined the thought-provoking lyrics of his time in Berlin with the hard-rocking and funk-driven grooves of his glam and plastic soul eras. Scary Monsters is also vital because it came out at the same time as MTV, which gave Bowie the opportunity to show people what he was about visually. Old songs were made new again, either through being re-recorded as B-sides in the case of Space Oddity and Panic in Detroit, or through being rewritten like Heroes sarcastically was in Teenage Wildlife. Other songs follow a similar inception. It's No Game features lyrics and melodies that are sourced from an unreleased composition named Tired of My Life, which dates back to when Bowie was only 16. And Scream Like a Baby is sourced from a 1973 song named I Am the Loser. I even think that Fashion could be looked at as a third interpretation of the groove found in Fame, Bowie's first #1 single in the US. It's similar to that song and DJ off 1979's Lodger in the sense that it's a scathing, funk-driven takedown of fame and popularity. Most notably, Bowie re-examines the character of Major Tom in Ashes to Ashes, repainting the character's journey in Space Oddity as a drug-induced fantasy. In many ways, it mirrors Bowie's infamous struggle with substance abuse in the mid-70s.
Ashes to ashes, funk to funky, we know Major, it's always a jungle.
I think that the largely retrospective nature of the album is, in no small part, due to Bowie's approach to songwriting for the record. An obvious fan of Burroughs, Bowie's been known to employ his cut-up technique towards crafting lyrics. And in what could be another link to beat culture, Bowie also had the reputation for showing up at the studio with little more than an idea for a song. Bowie's approach was to craft lyrics through repeated improvisation, similar to free-form poetry. But Bowie didn't do that for Scary Monsters. He actually set aside the time to develop the tracks before recording them. This gave him the time to incorporate themes and ideas that run much deeper than in his usual work. I find the album's self-reflection poignant because Scary Monsters was his final release for RCA Records, the label that had released much of his material to this point. The album was the end of an era for the artist, and it feels this way because of how it culminates all that had come before it. Artists often feel the need to reinvent their process in order to keep things fresh. For a man synonymous with change and never looking back, this may have meant taking stock of his accomplishments in the 70s and seeing what could be reworked or expanded upon. A more veteran Bowie would describe this as never playing to the gallery or just working outside of your comfort zone.
Go a little bit out of your depth, and when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting.
If Bowie's Berlin period was all about his struggle to control his drug habit as well as rediscover himself, Scary Monsters is Bowie sharing his findings with whoever will listen. Bowie clearly got a lot out of his system with Scary Monsters because his next album, 1983's Let's Dance, kicked off what became known as his Phil Collins years.